Welcome back to another review by Mega Train Lover. Today we're having a look at the next Christmas present, and this one is another locomotive by Bachmann, and you can probably tell from the picture what it is. We've probably seen the title anyway, but this is a XLMS Ivatt Class 4MT 260 tender engine, and as you can see, this is the older style Bachmann packaging. Which, you know, obviously it's not this. It's obviously not as good as the modern one, but still quite nice. If we turn to the side, you can see the product code is 32576. It's an Ivatt Class 4, number 43047, and it's in British Railways lined black with the late crest. Now the locomotive is not in the box. I've taken it out. I didn't need to DCC it because I brought this second hand off eBay. And it was DCC fitted, and it has been detailed as well slightly. But yeah, but I gave it a run in, so it's not in the box anymore. But anyway, here's a bit of information about this class. So the Class 4 MTs, they were built between 1947 and 1952 to the design of Ivatt, H.D. Ivatt, who of course was the last chief mechanical engineer for the LMS before nationalisation in 1948, and in total there were 162 locomotives built. 75 of these were built at Horwich Works, 50 of them were built at Doncaster, and 37 were built at Darlington. So it's a bit unusual seeing an LMS design being built at Darlington and Doncaster. Both were of course traditionally LNER works, but of course 75 built at Horwich. Those were originally works by the Lancashire and Yorkshire Railway, but then of course the LMS took them over. They were designed for mixed traffic use, and they mostly ran on obviously ex-LMS territory, but they did run for a short period on the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway. However, the class was notorious for poor steaming, which meant that over the S&D JR they were pretty unreliable because of their poor steaming. They just couldn't really get up the gradients, and bearing in mind that the Somerset and Dorset had gradients exceeding 1 in 50. So yeah, a steam engine that has poor steaming capabilities, completely unsuitable for the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway. Now, because of its unusual kind of American style design, many considered these to be the ugliest steam locomotive ever built in Britain, which I disagree with. I think they look quite handsome. There are far uglier steam locomotives than this in Britain. A22, I'm looking at you. Yeah, sorry, I'm just not. I could go on a whole rant about why I don't like the Thompson A22 Pacifics, but yeah, we're here to talk about the Ivatts. So, as mentioned, 162 built. They were withdrawn between 1963 and 1968. And out of the 162 locomotives built, one of them has been preserved. Number 43106 is preserved on the Severn Valley Railway. That locomotive, it was withdrawn and saved directly from British Railways, and it actually came to the Severn Valley Railway under its own steam from its final shed. I believe it was shedded at Lowestoft Hall, and it actually went under its own steam to the Severn Valley Railway around 1968, and it's been a resident at the railway ever since. The 43106 on the Severn Valley has been given the nickname the Flying Pig, but these engines were also known as Doodlebugs. So, yeah, a bit of an interesting design, but nonetheless, at least we do have one preserved, which we can all enjoy on the Severn Valley Railway. Although I believe it's going to be withdrawn soon at the time of making this video for overhaul, but hopefully she'll be back in service in the not too distant future. Anyway, let's put the box to one side and we'll get the engine first and the tender later. Here is the engine. Wow. Wow. What can I say? first thing you notice, considering its size, I mean it's not a huge engine, it's quite medium size, it's quite weighty. That's because the running board is actually made of die cast. Well, whatever there is of the run. Yeah, I mean the running board's very high, very very highly placed, but yeah, no, it's a beautiful, absolutely beautiful engine. This is what is meant by it being quite Americanized, whereby, you know, you've got the running board positioned miles above the wheels, which, you know, is very, very contrary to standard British practice, where usually the running board is directly above the driving wheels, and it kind of covers the very top of the driving wheels as well. But here, it's positioned very, very high up. And this design was actually carried over to the British Rail Standard Class 4MT 260s. So you can see the similarities if you look at a picture. I do actually have a model, but I'm not going to bring it out for the purposes of this video. Let's start at the front. You get sprung buffers as standard. These two lights are fitted myself. They're actually added on by Black Tack. So yeah, but you can't, which means I can change them round. No longer using super glue. No longer using super glue for adding lights. Black Tack all the way. Start at the front. You can see it's got very, very characteristic look of an LMS engine. And it does look quite similar to the Ivatt 2MT, the front of it, but of course this is a bigger engine, obviously a bigger power output. But yeah, the level of detail on this is quite an old tooling, it's about 20 years old, but the level of detail is really, really nice. I love the valve gear looks really, really nice. You get all this piping, which some of it is moulded, but it does look very, very nice. You get the separately fitted handrails. You get all this separately fitted detail with the safety valves and the whistle and all the pipe work associated with it. So yeah, as you can see, it's quite. There's a lot of features on this which do differ from standard British practice. You know, all the exposed equipment. It's not a very conservative locomotive. You know, British steam locomotives tended to be very conservative. You know, they'd hide up most of their components, whereas American locomotives are obviously very, very exposed. That's not to say that this is American. This is a fully British built locomotive. It's just very, very American influenced, which you can probably tell. But of course, many of these features were later carried on to the BR standards. As mentioned, the BR Standard Class 4MT 260 was based on this particular type. One thing which is quite very unusual is the large amount of distance between the boiler and the driving wheels, as you can see. So you can you can literally see through. Yeah, feature very much seen on the BR standards, but of course for pre-BR standard designed locomotives such as these, yeah, bit of an unusual feature, but nonetheless it is quite nice. There's its number, 43047. The cab is not the best because it's not painted or anything. Yes, I am aware that the driver, which by the way was fitted by the previous owner, I am aware that the driver is in the wrong position. He's supposed to be on the left. But I'm not going to go into the trouble of removing the driver because it's probably super glued down or something. But yeah, the cab, obviously, you know, 20 years ago it would have been a nice cab, but you know, it's not up to modern standards at all. The cab roof vent doesn't move, it's just permanently stayed open, which I suppose is for the better because it gets pretty hot inside the steam engine. But yeah, I mean, and it's got the old style engine to tender connection. But as you can see, because of the lack of electrical connections between the engine and the tender doesn't pick up power at all. So power pickup is relied upon entirely by the 6 driving wheels. Anyway, let's put the engine down and we'll have a look at the tender, which is right here. The tender is, as you would expect, much lighter than the loco. You get this huge back head, which of course meant that the cab in real life was pretty enclosed. You get the fireman there. You have real coal, which, you know, of course was added by the previous owner, but it does look really, really nice. You get the water filler cap, you get the lade crest, you get sprung buffers on the back as well. And yeah, and obviously, you know, even on the tender, how many engines, how many pre-BR standard engines can you name which have a ladder? None. You know, that was a feature which was, you know, commonly seen on the BR standards, but not on these. Only the Ivatt Class 2, the Ivatt Class 2s were the only other non-BR standard locomotives, as far as I can tell, which actually had a ladder. So yeah, very, very labour-saving features, which of course, you know, many of these, as mentioned, they were implemented on the BR standards, and a lot of these locomotives were built, some of these locomotives were built around the same time as them, so yeah. But of course, bearing in mind that the BR standards, they were designed by Robert Riddles, yeah, Robert Riddles. But yeah, so yeah, all in all, all in all, you know, for a 20-year-old tooling, I think it looks really nice. Obviously, there are some features, details which are a little bit crude, but you would expect that for, you know, 20-year-old tooling. But anyway, let's see how it runs. So here we have the Bachmann Ivatt Class 4MT on the track. Now what we're going to do, select a number and watch her go. And there she goes. Beautiful. Wow. Considering the age of the model, it's a beautiful runner. Now of course, the particular layout I've set up here doesn't have any points, but I'm sure it would be able to run over them just fine because the wheelbase is quite large. Yeah, excellent. Let's get a few shots of her passing. Yeah, very nice. Very pleased with it. May have been second hand, but yeah, brilliant. So just to conclude this video, if you can get one for a good price, I definitely recommend it. Some of the details may not be up to the standards of today, such as the cab, but you know, it's still a really, really nice model all the same. I mean, it looks fantastic. It's got quite an interesting design for a British locomotive. Yeah, nothing much else to say really. Very nice model. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I shall see you in the next video. Goodbye.